Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Facebook Live, actually. Welcome. Hello. We are going to start in just a moment. I want to give you guys time to join us online to get comfortable because we have a very interesting moment that we have planned ahead. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Facebook Live. My name is Ines, and I'm a communication specialist for CASA. Welcome, and thanks for joining. Well, as many of you have heard by now, after years-long concerted people-powered campaign, we won temporary protection status, TPS, for Cameroon. Woo-hoo-hoo! This is a very exciting win that means something like 40,000 Cameroonian immigrants in the United States might be eligible for this immigration status. What does that mean? I mean, you may wonder, what does that mean? Who is eligible? Is it a path to citizenship? Well, I have a great news for you guys. We have attorney Nick from CASA legal team here with us today that will help answer all these questions for you. Are you guys ready for Nick? If you are ready for Nick, just type it in the comment section that you are ready for Nick. And Nick, could you please say hi and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Ines. I'm really excited to be here tonight. My name is Nick Katz. I'm the legal director with CASA. And, I'm just honored to be on to answer your questions and to talk a little bit about this amazing victory that, a lot of the people who are watching today fought for so long, alongside our members and our organizers and all the folks at CASA and our partners. So happy to be here and hope I can answer some of your questions.
That's great, Nick. Well, for those that are just joining us here, thanks for tuning in. I see a lot of us here. I see Johanna, Jennifer, Leslie. Thanks for joining us this evening. I just want to remind you guys, my name is Ines. I work for CASA Communication. I'm a communication specialist for CASA, and tonight we are discussing and answering some questions concerning the win that we had with TPS, temporary protection status for Cameroon. Okay, so Nick, are you ready for our questions? Are you ready for the first question, actually?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well, first thing first, can you explain a little what TPS for Cameroon is and who's eligible and what benefit that includes? Because we probably have a lot of people that know that word, but they probably don't know what it means and who's eligible. Can you answer that, please?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good place to start. So TPS is a short for temporary protected status. And what it is a temporary form of immigration status for individuals who, are unable to be removed or deported to their home country. And that could be for a variety of different reasons. In Cameroon, it's largely due to the ongoing conflict, obviously, that is occurring there. And so TPS does a number of things. It gives you protection from deportation, meaning that during the period of time when your TPS is authorized, generally you have the right to be in the United States and you cannot be deported back to Cameroon. And so the period of authorization for TPS for Cameroon right now is for 18 months, for a year and a half. And so once you're able to apply for TPS, if you receive it, you can't be deported during that time. It also importantly gives you access to apply for work authorization. So if you don't already have work authorization, you can apply, at the same time that you apply for your TPS status, and you can get work authorization for that period when you're protected from deportation. Another important benefit of TPS is that you can apply for permission to travel, right? So you can apply for permission to leave the United States. Now, you are not automatically allowed to travel outside of the United States with TPS. You do have to apply separately for permission to do that. But when you're in TPS status, you can do that. In terms of who's eligible, you have to be a citizen or national of Cameroon. You have to have been in the United States on April 14th and continuously resided here since that date, right? Now we're looking at that was just a few weeks ago when we got this victory.
I know, right?
But that's a really important date to have in mind because only people who are here on or before that date are eligible to apply for TPS. So if you come later or you leave the United States for a period of time and come back, you likely won't be able to apply for TPS. So that date is super important to remember. It's April 14th of 2022. And then you also have to apply by the deadline for TPS. So right now, no one can apply. The government has announced that they're going to grant this protection or allow people to apply for this protection. But there's still another step that has to happen before they allow you to submit your applications. And that's you have to publish something in something called the Federal Register. And so we're waiting for them to do that so that people can start putting in their applications. But you can start getting ready right now, right? You can start putting together your documents to show, that you are a Cameroonian citizen, that you have lived in the United States, and just make sure that you're ready to apply for TPS as soon as it does open. And, my team and I are here ready to assist CASA members with that process.
That's great. I really like all the points that you lifted. And I just want to clarify with everyone, this is general information. It's not legal service. If you have any legal service question, please reach out to the number or go to the URL information that is on the banner at the bottom. Nick, I know you spoke about who's eligible, but would you help us understand who is not eligible?
Sure. I mean, I think the two main categories of people who wouldn't be eligible are folks who come later, right? So if you come after that date, that really crucial date of April 14th, 2022, you would not be eligible to apply for TPS. Also, people with certain criminal convictions won't be eligible to apply for TPS. Now, that's not anyone who's ever been arrested or even anyone who's ever been convicted of a crime, but certain crimes and certain criminal convictions will disqualify you. So I think we recommend certainly that everyone have a consultation with a lawyer you trust, which is why my team is ready to provide those consultations to people. And if you'd like, we can also provide you referrals to other organizations and other people who can give you reliable information. But certainly anyone who has had any interaction with the police, or if you have a pending immigration petition, so you filed for asylum, or you have other immigration processes that are happening, we really recommend you consult either with that attorney who's handling your case, with us, or with another legal service provider before you apply. There also may be some people who aren't eligible due to a restriction that's called firm resettlement in another country. That means, if you live somewhere else for a long period of time, you might not be eligible to apply for TPS for Cameroon, but often you can, right? And that is an analysis that we can help undergo on a case-by-case basis. So I think anybody who has any questions, the bottom line is, you can call our legal team, you can go to our website, and you can see on the screen here, there's a phone number and there's a website where you can sign up to get more information and a consultation with an attorney from my team.
That's great. I think we're still on the question of eligibility. Wally asked here, can we join the military with TPS?
Generally, no. Although I'm not an expert in this. I mean, generally, folks who have temporary status aren't eligible to join the military. Although there may be some exceptions that I'm not aware of. So that the best I understand it, TPS does not enable you to join the military.
Okay.
I assume that, and I'm speaking for the United States military. I assume yeah.
That's great. That's fine. I also have Jamal here that is asking, can people with TPS leave the United States?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's what I was sort of starting to talk about a little bit earlier, right? There is an application that people who have TPS can submit to get permission to travel. It's called advanced parole. So people with TPS are not authorized to leave the United States. If you leave, you may not be able to come back in. So that's really, really important. Just because you get TPS does not mean you can travel outside the US, but you can apply for permission. And if that permission is granted, you can leave for a period of time. They'll give you a period of time where you're authorized to leave and come back. And so, if that's something that you want to do, first thing you have to do is get TPS, then you can separately apply for this travel permission. And again, in those circumstances, it's really important that you consult with a qualified attorney before you put in that application or before you leave the United States.
Thank you so much, Nick. For those that are joining us now, my name is Ines. I'm with CASA. I work as a communication specialist for CASA. And today we are discussing all the frequently asked questions concerning the recent win with temporary protection status for Cameroon. Again, I just want to remind everyone that this is general information. It's not any legal advice. If you want legal advice, please reach out to CASA legal team, or you can call them. All the information is at the banner on this live. Nick, I have a question for you. Can someone apply both for both status, actually, TPS and asylum? If someone applies for asylum but is still waiting to be interviewed, can they apply for TPS?
Yes, the answer is yes, right? Like you can have a pending asylum application and still apply for TPS, and often that's something you might want to do because in the event that your asylum application is denied, you would still have that protection of TPS. But it does depend on your individual circumstances, and so that is why I said before, and I just want to say this again, if you do have a pending asylum application, another immigration case, I think it's really important that you talk to either the lawyer that's representing you on that case, or us at CASA or another lawyer that is trustworthy before you submit any applications. And sometimes there are considerations for folks who have pending asylum claims, including you may already have work authorization through your asylum petition, for example. Maybe you don't need to apply or don't want to apply for work authorization with TPS. That's fine. You can just apply for the TPS status, which gives you the protection from deportation. You don't have to apply for work authorization as well. If you don't want to, you don't need to. But I do recommend before making that decision, consulting with an attorney.
Okay, I have Jamal here who actually asked a question that I was planning to ask you. So I'm gonna ask his question and then tell you my question because it all goes together. He asked, or Jamal asked, can TPS lead to green card?
Right.
Now, and I want to ask you this. Let me just add to that question so we can just build the whole package once for all. Can you tell me any update on green card and citizenship? Is TPS a path to permanent residency or citizenship?
Yeah, and unfortunately, the answer right now is no, not directly. Right. It is a temporary status, and it's one that we won through, as you mentioned, Inez, just a people-powered campaign that took a year, and probably many people who are watching this Facebook Live are going to watch the recording of it. We're part of that campaign, right? But it's temporary, not a permanent status. It doesn't give you a right to apply for a green card, which is permanent residency in the United States, or citizenship. And so it's something that we're going to have to continue to fight to defend. So everybody who's watching this, really encourage you not just to reach out to us and become a member access to legal services that we're offering on my team, but really to engage with CASA and our organizing efforts to continue to fight and defend this victory and build towards a path to citizenship, right? A path to permanent residency and eventual citizenship. Because right now, there is no independent path from TPS to getting a green card. So that's a really important point.
Okay. I felt somebody just joined after, and the person, I know you already answered that question, but I just want to ask you again, who is not qualified for TPS?
Yeah, so I think it's so you have to be a Cameroonian citizen or national for TPS for Cameroon, right? The designation is country specific. You have to have been in the United States on April 14th of this year, and you have to reside continuously here at least from that date. So if you're here before then and you haven't left, you've been residing continuously, you're good. But anyone who arrives after that date will not be eligible to apply for TPS. So anybody who comes April 15th, April 16th, anytime after that won't be eligible to apply for TPS, unfortunately. And there are certain criminal convictions, there are certain criminal bars and some other bars that may come into play, meaning, if you have a certain criminal history, you might not be eligible to apply. So anyone who's had any interaction with the police or certainly any criminal conviction, I encourage them to get advice from a trusted attorney. And that's why my team, is here to provide consultations to our members free of charge, just to make sure that you are indeed eligible for TPS. Make sure that nobody applies who shouldn't apply, because if you do have some sort of criminal history, you apply for TPS, there's a danger that you could actually be put into deportation proceedings, right? So anybody who's got anything like that in their background definitely needs to talk to an attorney before they apply for TPS.
Okay, I see so many people connected here. If you have a question for yourself, for somebody for a family member, please don't feel shy. I want you to drop your question in the comment section, and we have the experts here. We have Nick, attorney Nick here, that will help answer your question. But if you want legal services, please reach out to the number there, and CASA is really looking forward to helping you. This is a fight. This is what CASA stands for. Immigrant like you and I, members for CASA, of course. So reach out and we will find a way to help you. So Nick, I have a question for you here. Let's say someone is eligible for TPS and they want to go back to school. What about student aid? That TPS allow recipient to receive student aid, any form of student aid, or even go to school?
Yeah, no, you can definitely go to school. Unfortunately, TPS doesn't give you access to federal student aid, right? It's not a status that would give you access to the federal student aid, but many states may offer student aid, so it depends on where you live. So, depending on where you live, there may be state financial aid that's available to people with TPS or even undocumented individuals. And there also are private scholarships and other financial support that you can access. So although TPS doesn't give you that federal access, definitely encourage folks to look into potential aid at the state level, private aid that might be available. And we actually have a guide at CASA that we can share with folks on financial aid resources, especially for people who are in Maryland, the Maryland, Virginia area, but there's a lot of national information in there as well, that scholarships and other financial support that folks can offer. So definitely you can go to school, and there could be some aid that you can access, but not federal financial aid.
Okay. Well, guys, we are almost gearing toward the end of our live, but I want to ask you, and somebody asked here, when does TPS end? Let's say now we have the victory, we have TPS for Cameroon. What's the deadline? What's the time frame that a person has?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So again, just to say again, they haven't opened the application period yet. They still have to post that notice in the Federal Register. So you can start getting ready, and that's what we're going to do, work with folks to start getting ready to apply once that opens. But you can't apply yet. And it is an 18-month period. So we're looking in a year and a half, this temporary designation is going to end. Usually what happens with TPS is they're going to look at it 6 months before the end. So in a year, they're going to evaluate, are we going to continue TPS? Are we going to open it up potentially to even more people from Cameroon? They could do something that's called a redesignation, right? That would allow folks who came later to apply. So I think this is going back to what we talked about how we won this fight, right? Like we're going to need to keep fighting to make sure that, TPS is extended and that we include even more people who may have come after, that deadline of April 14th of this year in the future. So that's the timeline. It's an 18-month period. They'll start looking at it about 6 months before that expiration. And we've got to keep fighting to make sure that it doesn't actually end then, but they extend it, for the maximum time, which would be another 18 months. And, we've seen with other countries, there have been countries like El Salvador that have had TPS designations for decades, right? And there were attacks on those designations under the Trump administration, and CASA and many other organizations across the country were able to fight in court to preserve those protections. But it doesn't happen if we don't fight for it, right? So we just gotta keep up the pressure.
Sure. Thank you, Josie. Thank you, Austin, for joining the live. Thank you, CASA Pennsylvania, for being among us. So I have a question for you. The pandemic, we are in the midst or toward the end, somewhere there in the pandemic. And not everyone is financially stable at this moment.
Yep.
Is it an obligation to have legal assistance when applying for TPS? And what if a person doesn't have financial means to cover for all the fees it requires? What would you say for that? And in that same question, do you know how much it may cost just to have legal assistance for TPS for Cameroon?
Yeah, so there's a lot in those questions. I'll try to work through them. Sure. First of all, I think just with the pandemic, right? Like it's important to tell folks like we are still in this pandemic. COVID-19 is real. And if you have not gotten your vaccine yet, CASA is doing vaccine clinics. You need to come and get protected, get your vaccines, get your boosted, or just get whatever you're eligible for, because that's the only way that we are going to come out of this. And, in the beginning, there really weren't protections for our communities, and I think like we fought to get access, and now we have vaccine access. It's so important for everyone to get vaccinated. I want to put that out there. And our help team can help with that. You can call that same number and get connected with them. Although they actually have another hotline you can call as well. Either way, we can get you the information you need to get vaccinated. So that's the first thing, I think. But the financial impact obviously is real. I know people have real struggles. And it's a little bit complicated. Like TPS, the application itself is $50. That's the fee that USCIS charges. And then there are additional fees, including $85 for what's called biometrics. And that's like, so they can run security checks. So basically take your fingerprints, and they're going to run background checks to make sure that, you don't have any serious criminal history or something that could bar you from getting TPS or even subject you to deportation proceedings. So that's why, I said before, it's so important. Before you apply, you're consulting with an attorney to make sure there's nothing that could be could actually make going through that process dangerous, right? For most people, that won't be the case, but for some people, it could be. So definitely, you want to consult with an attorney. So there's a $50 application fee. There's an $85 biometric fee. And then there's, if you do want to apply for work authorization, there's an additional fee, which is, I believe, $410 for that process. So you have to put all that together. And I think for most people, the fee is going to be, I think it's $545. That's what the government will charge, right? And all this information is available on the USCIS website. So if my numbers are off, you can go and you can check my math. But that's it. And unfortunately, there's no fee waivers for it like that. Everybody who has to apply individually, and they are going to have to pay, at least some portion of that fee. Maybe not the work authorization if you're not applying for work authorization, which is a lot of that. And you can't apply, as a family with derivatives, right? Like the case in asylum where you can have derivatives on your application, you include your children on there, whatever it may be. You can do that with some types of immigration applications. You can't do that here. Everyone has to apply individually for TPS. So that's really important. And they're going to charge those fees for each each person, each application. In terms of legal help, I mean, it really depends, right? If you go to a private attorney, they are going to charge more than a nonprofit like CASA. I will say for us, we are charging just $50 for application assistance. And that's really just to cover the cost of representing you throughout the process, right? So that's the fee that we charge folks in addition to the USCIS fee. And I do want to be careful to say, like, we can't guarantee that we'll be able to represent everybody who needs it. We're going to do our best, certainly, to give initial guidance and counseling to everyone who calls that number or fills out that form. We will contact you. We will talk to you. If you're a member, we're going to give you a consultation. But, it just depends on our capacity and where you live and a variety of other factors in terms of whether we're going to be able to actually represent you on the application. But first thing is really just to call or go to the website and fill out that information survey, and then we'll figure out sort of what we can do from there. Did that address all your questions, Ines? Was there anything I missed in there?
No, yes, you did. And I'm just so grateful to CASA. This is literally like free, $50 compared to what everyone else is charging. This is free. So guys, if you're not CASA members, I encourage you to reach out to CASA. I mean, you need this membership. $50, that's for free. Nick, I know I don't want to hold you for a long time. I know you've been very helpful and you literally answered all the questions above and beyond. And I can see a comment here, someone saying, thank you for all. You work hard to help people, as your motto says, CASA for all. I mean, CASA for all goes all the way to the live. And Nick, I'm really grateful. Do you have any last word you can share with people that are watching us here? Thank you, Jenna, for joining. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, everyone, for being here. You came after. I mean, you came at the last hour or last minute. I am Ines. I am part of the CASA communication team. And I'm a communication specialist, and this is Nick, attorney Nick. He's helping answer all the questions pertaining to TPS for Cameroon now that we have won TPS for Cameroon. Yes, Nick, do you have any last word to say? And anyone, do you have a comment? If you have a comment, the question, please leave it there, and I'll share it with him.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Christian put up on the screen, showing our strength. And I think, like, that's what I would say. I think that if, we are here to provide the services for this victory that we won. We stand, shoulder to shoulder with everybody who fought for this. So please, call this number, fill out the survey, become a member of CASA if you're not a member, so we can get you this help. And really encourage everybody to access these resources and join us. But the bigger message is we have to join the struggle, right? Like, some of us will remember over the last year, we were fighting for a bill to get a pathway to citizenship, right? Like, we rallied and we went to Congress and we showed up. So many people who are watching this, so many people who participated in this fight for TPS for Cameroon, and that fight too. And we haven't gotten there yet. So it's only going to be through just growing this movement and building our power and getting everybody, who has been a part of these victories together, united in power, that we can get to where we need to be, which is a pathway to citizenship. We need permanent protection for people, and the people who've been living in our communities, working hard, and who are our members deserve that. So we're going to keep fighting for it. We need more people to join. So I encourage you not just to reach out about services, but to really get involved with your organizers, get involved with Austin, get involved with Jorge, get involved with all the folks who've been working on these campaigns, and help us fight for more.
Yeah, I have a last question here from Stanley Mejame. He asked, can a TPS application further delay your asylum process?
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, this is, as you pointed out throughout this is general advice. This is not specific legal advice about anybody's case. For that, you really do have to do a one-on-one with one of our attorneys. And again, I think I've said enough times how to access that. But it should not interfere with the processing of your asylum case. The only thing to bear in mind, and really this is something that you should talk about individually with your lawyer or with one of our attorneys, is that if your asylum claim is denied, and it's an affirmative asylum claim, meaning that you were not in deportation proceedings. You put in your asylum claim, and you were processed through the asylum office at what's called USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. If your claim is denied and you have TPS, they will not put you into deportation proceedings, generally, right? And that's a good thing in a lot of ways, but it means that you won't have the opportunity to then request a review of that denial in front of an immigration judge, right? So that is something that someone who has a pending asylum claim needs to think about, needs to talk to an attorney about when you're considering whether to do the application. But it's not something that, sort of in that initial adjudication, that initial process of determining whether to grant your asylum claim would factor in. You can certainly still be granted asylum if you have TPS, and that this won't slow down the process. And obviously asylum, as folks may know, is a permanent form of relief, right? If you're granted asylum, you are eligible to get a green card and eventually to apply for citizenship. So that's definitely something that, you don't want to derail that process in any way. And in general, TPS will not affect it, except, in that circumstances where if you're denied at that one stage, you wouldn't get referred over to the immigration court. If you already have a case in immigration court, getting TPS will not affect that at all, except that the immigration judge should not generally order you deported if you have TPS. So it's a layer of protection that exists if you have what's called a defensive case, if you're already in deportation proceedings. But again, anybody who has those thoughts and considerations needs to talk to a lawyer. If you already have an attorney, talk to them, talk to us, and make a determination in your case.
I have one more question for you. Thank you so much, Nick, from Jenna. Now that we are wrapping up, people are getting excited for this
There
live.
You go. I love it.
So that means that whatever information you are sharing, it's feeding their brain and they're liking it. Somebody's asking, how long did it take to win TPS for Cameroon? Is there an average length to win TPS?
I mean, I think you said it in the beginning, Inez. This was a year-long campaign, and there was real people power behind it. It can take longer, right? Like, we're still fighting for TPS for other countries. We need, I mentioned El Salvador earlier. We need a redesignation for El Salvador, right? They've had TPS for 20 years, but anybody who's come, basically in the last 20 years from El Salvador can't get in. It's closed. It was only those folks who were here back in 2003 or whenever that designation that was made. So we need to expand it. We need Central America. There are other African countries. There are other countries throughout the world, that deserve TPS and that we need to continue to fight for. And so, there's no timeline for how long a campaign takes. I think this was a really amazing victory and a hard fought one, a long battle. And we need everybody who fought this one to join us for the rest of them, right? So that it doesn't take a year to win every fight, right? That we can win them. We can win them bigger relief and faster.
I like your closing statement. It shouldn't take a year to win that fight. So if you are here, you feel that urge to help immigrants all around the world. We need TPS for all the countries that deserve TPS. Please come on board with CASA and let's fight for the immigrants, all the immigrants all around the world. Well, Nick, sadly, this is the end of our live. I was enjoying myself, having a great time, and I am really thankful for all the answers, all the information you provided. I don't know for other people, but for me, this was really eye-opening. And I just want to encourage people. First, I want to tell people this is general information. It's not legal advice. It's not legal services or legal advice. I know he's an attorney, but this is general information. If you want in-depth information, please reach out to CASA legal team. I know the number is scrolling here, but I'm gonna tell you guys that it's 1-866-765-2272, or you can go online and fill the survey and someone from the legal team will get back to you. Nick, do you have any last word, or are we done for today?
No, I think we may be done for today, but the fight continues. So I hope everybody who's listening to this becomes a member of CASA, whether you need help with your TPS application or not. And let's keep fighting. Thank you, Inez, for hosting. I enjoyed it.
You are welcome. Have a great night, everyone. And I'll keep the live on the Facebook for you guys to watch after and share with your loved one. Bye.